Call into the show. Can we play your song?
So did you know
Okay.
that Jim Morrison, when they recorded the Riders on the Storm, he actually laid an entire track of whisper. So
Yes.
if you listen real closely, you can hear him, Riders on the Storm.
Especially
as
when you
he's-
have headphones on.
Right, right. As you're singing Riders on the Storm in the background, Riders on the Storm. It's pretty
Yeah.
legit, man.
There was a song that we had that I wanted you to do that to, and maybe you did anyway. I don't remember. Maybe
We did
do
it. We did something where I
I
whispered.
swore we did.
We did something, and that's where I got the idea. I stole it from the Lizard King, which
Well, and there was another one where you talked underneath it, which was cool. Like
Yeah.
certain parts, you would just use a speaking voice.
Yeah, yeah, that was the cool thing about being in the recording studio and learning from artists that you I don't want to say like icons or like idolize because that's such a weird thing, but artists that you respected and held
Emulate.
emulate. There you go. Good word. Hey, this is the Chris and Mike Show, boys and girls. And by the way, excuse me, if you want to come on our show, it's super easy and it's super simple. You got to be living, breathing, and a human. Okay, unless you're an alien and can prove it, that would be kind of cool, like from Venus or Mars or something.
We will put you at the front of the list.
We will, like, we'll bump everybody if you're a legit alien from another planet. Okay, just saying that now. Also, if you're a serial killer, whether you're at large or incarcerated, if you're at large, you can wear a mask. We're cool with that.
We'll protect your identity.
We will protect your identity. But the catch is this: you have to have a dedicated internet, meaning you got to have like plugged into the wall or in a house Wi-Fi, something that is not DSL, something that is not a hotspot, something that is legitimately you're rocking and rolling. And the reason why we know this, as we're now in our season number 3 of this show. When we first started back in the day, Mike had some struggles because you just had DSL,
Yes, I did.
and DSL's no bueno. Now he's the king of the waves because he's got fiber optic cabling.
And it's the bomb.
It is the bomb diggity. Like his shit is just like legit. Now I'm still wrapped with Cox Communications and or Verizon, which I am plugged getting rid of that. Then we still have Starlink, but ironically enough, the Cox seems to be better right now than Starlink. I don't know what that's about. I'm sure it has something to do with Elon and Donald, bickering back and forth.
Or sunspots.
Or sunspots, yeah. So basically, here's the deal. We welcome anybody that wants to come on the show, tell your story, whatever that may be. The more interesting you are, the better the show's going to be. If not, I can still, and Mike and I both can still kind of, pull your story out of you. But the more engaging you are, the more extroverted you are, the better it's going to be. But we got to have that dedicated internet line. That's the thing. We had a scheduled guest on today, super nice lady named Liz Rodriguez. She's all about life coaching, things like that. She's been doing it for a super long time, but unfortunately, the internet where she's at was down. She's trying to hotspot, and it's not going to work.
I've tried it, ladies and gentlemen. It does not work.
Yeah, so we're going to have her back on. So don't worry, Liz. We're going to have you back on. We are streaming live on YouTube. So for those of you who were expecting her to be here today, unfortunately, technology has trumped us, which is fine. But
It happens.
it does happen. It does happen. So you can shoot myself a message. You can shoot Mike a message. You can go to Facebook to the Chris and Mike Show and give us a message. You can go to the YouTube because we're streaming live. You can shoot a message there. It doesn't matter how you reach us. Once you do, then Mike typically sends you to me because then I'll help facilitate the scheduling, things like that, and we'll get you on the show. It's that simple.
You pulled the words right out of my mouth.
Right out of his mouth. And
You
there's
are
only
more than welcome to contact me anytime you want if you feel more comfortable talking to me, but I'm just going to forward it to him because it is too much chaos if both people are booking guests.
This is true. And the other thing, the other little caveat that we require, which is really multi-serving, because we're going to do the same thing for you. We want you to go to our Facebook group, our Facebook page, Chris and Mike Show, and like it and review it and then follow it. Same with the YouTube channel. Give it a subscribe. Instagram, give it a follow, and then we'll turn around and do the same thing for you. So everybody we've had on the show, we've done the same thing.
Yes.
And
And they'll
what we have,
verify that if you want to check that.
yes, totally verify it. So what would be cool, since unfortunately Liz's technology didn't work today, we have some really cool shows coming up, which will end up being after this one. So it'd be weird to talk about what's coming up because how we record ahead of time. But
I just thought of that. I was like, those are sitting on my computer.
I know.
I'm acting like they're already out there and everybody's heard them. But
I know.
If Lemoyne listens to all our episodes, I just
Yeah.
happened to crank your Insecurity song on the way home, brother.
Yeah.
And holy shit, is that a banger.
yeah,
I
Lemoyne,
couldn't-
yeah,
I couldn't get it loud enough. Lemoyne Alexander, Insecurity. Look it up on Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to music. It's there.
YouTube as well. And the cool thing about Lemoyne, he's a Grammy nominated artist that we actually
Yes.
had on the show. Super cool guy. Like,
Dude, this is a rocker, man. It's all
he's
electric
totally
guitar and
yeah.
I mean, I guess I was expecting one of his bigger. This has got millions of hits. I thought it was more like in the hip hop and R&B vein. You know, I guess I misunderstood him when he was talking about this song, or maybe we didn't even talk about it being a rocking song. I don't know.
I knew that he was, based on our conversation, I knew his launching pad was rap, producing and behind the scenes stuff.
Yes.
But then when he told the tale about how he went down to his home studio and recorded every single part of Cheap Trick's "I Want You to Want Me."
And Killer Queen.
Right, and then and Boys and Girls, he worked with Queen on a song called Killer Queen, which is in Bohemian Rhapsody, but it was pulled off the movie, but it's still on the soundtrack.
On the soundtrack.
Right.
Yes. And
So
has
that's pretty-
received millions of downloads, and he received a couple awards for it.
And he got $600.
Yeah.
That is, because you have heard that show by the time this one airs. That was one of the most intriguing things we talked about. Where 20 years ago, you have 2 million sales, 2 million song sales, 2 million singles, whatever you want to call it. You making $1 million.
Yes.
This last year, you dropped 2 million song downloads,
2 million downloads. Yeah.
plays, whatever. You get $600.
Or I
So-
guess he said multiple million downloads. So
Right. Multiple million downloads, you got $600. So
Snoop Dogg had 1 billion and got 34,000.
right. So those of you that think Lars was an ass, because I thought Lars was an ass when he was doing
We
all
all
that.
did
'Cause
in the beginning because we didn't understand it. He was ahead of us.
he was big time. Nikki, and in fact, I even shared that concept with Nikki, and it's like I really truly understand now why artists have to charge so much when they do their live shows, because you got to pay for the venue. Well, what? Unless like Billie Eilish, right? I don't know how she self-wrote, self-produced, self-distributed. I think she was on her own label when she dropped all that stuff. So that dollar that Lemoyne talked about, remember that, Mike?
Yes.
75 cents goes back to the label. 25 cents is left over, and that goes to the artist, the promotions, the distribution.
And he said the producer gets the majority of that.
Right.
So
Right. So a
it
band
doesn't leave much for the artist. And if
no.
a band has 5 members, I'm pretty sure that's where you were going. Now
Right.
we have to split that last penny.
You
5
get that
ways.
nickel.
Yeah.
You get the nickel. The bandmates get a penny each. So like a band like Alter Bridge, they're splitting 5 cents among 4 of them. You know,
It's
a band
like,
like
no,
Metallica.
don't do away with the penny or I'll never get paid again.
Right.
Right?
Right. So Metallica, same concept. That's why.
And before somebody
Yeah.
wants to come on and debate me about Lars, and they're welcome to do that.
Absolutely.
We'll have a good time. Trust me. I don't get angry. I have my opinion.
Yep.
Especially on Lars. Is he the greatest drummer in the world? Absolutely not. Is he the only drummer that could have made Metallica? 100%.
Yeah.
Because he's also the businessman, right?
Right. Right.
And they'll all admit if it wasn't for him, they wouldn't be where they're at because he was the one that kept the books, talked to the booking agents, talked to the, promoters, all the stuff that nobody wants to do, he took on his shoulders. And that's why Metallica they're a $1 billion selling band, right? They're all 100 millionaires. Chris seems to have lost his headphones, ladies and gentlemen, so we'll just keep talking about Metallica. I think we're back in action.
Dude, I was listening. My headphones are being wacky. So
Yeah, I saw that.
I was like, whoa! I could hear you, then I couldn't hear you. I could still hear you, because of technology. So I know you're talking about Lars and Metallica and the business side of things, and
That's
you know,
definitely my argument to anybody that says that somebody else could have done a better job, right? Mm-hmm. And there's enough YouTube clips out there of like Dave Lombardo playing with them. And does it sound right? Yes. Does it sound like Metallica? No.
no, that's kind of like why Led Zeppelin can't be Led Zeppelin without Bonham. It just
100%.
wow.
And
You
to
should,
me,
you should see Nikki right now. Like what? That's holy shit. I'll be back in about a half an hour.
I got to carry the show, ladies and gentlemen.
She's got we picked up paddleboarding, right? It's like our new little thing. She loves it, so she got a new little outfit to go out on the lake, and
You
I can't,
approve?
I can't stand up right now.
It just stopped him dead in his tracks. I understand. There's nothing better than a beautiful woman, man.
There's nothing better than a beautiful woman. Nothing in this world, especially when it's your wife.
It's tied with an electric guitar because I can't always have the beautiful woman, right? So I had to
Right, exactly. So
standing in front of a 100-watt Marshall is pretty close.
yeah. You know, different but close, right? So since it's a Chris and Mike show, like how we started, which is fun because it's every now and then I like when there's whoopses, and then we can do this because you and I Mike and I just like talking to each other and having great conversations about things.
Yeah, it
So-
was funny. The first thing I was going to tell you was it was nice to talk to you on the phone.
Right. Yeah. Mike does a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. So once an episode's done, Mike goes through and does all the short edits and things like that. Which it's a painstaking process because
It's
it takes
tedious, but necessary.
it takes a few hours. So what you see here is cool, especially on YouTube because you're watching this live. But
This is the fun part.
right then there's the back end. It's kind of like you can write the music all you want, then you got to go record it, and that's the piece by piece by piece by piece. And it's not.
Well, the
It's not
hours I put into editing, you're putting into talking to guests and getting them lined up and seeing what they're about. And
Yeah.
it's called splitting the time and dividing the work up.
Right, and then I still go in and drop the shorts and things like that, and
Yeah, you run the entire YouTube channel, which is kicking ass.
Thank you. And for those of you that like the shorts, those are actually scheduled every day. The first one drops at 6 a.m. The second one drops at 4 p.m. We do have the days the shows drop, which are Wednesdays and Sundays. Then we're going to have three things drop daily there. So there's always something going on our YouTube channel. So that's why it's super important to subscribe because you get notified every time something comes up. And the shorts are random, which is kind of cool. They're from guests from the past, guests from the future, and they all just they're a minute or less knowledge drops, like and fun stuff too. Some of it's silly, some of it's really interesting and intriguing. A lot of the health stuff we've done with Nate Palmer, the $1 Million Body, and Peter Ho.
I saw those are really doing well, man. That's awesome.
You know why? Because I think the world is so health conscious right now, and especially with whoever it is in the Trump administration that's banning all their artificial colors and shit,
Which is great.
right? And then the epiphany I had with Ritz crackers.
I liked your short. I watched your
Thank
short on
you.
Rich
Right?
Crackers. Thank you very much.
I had people chime in and send me messages after, like, I'm stopping.
I
You're
love
killing me,
Ritz
Smalls.
Crackers, but man,
Right.
yeah, I don't know how I could put another one in my mouth knowing what's in there.
What's mind-boggling to me is
Why do you
when
need
they
all that shit?
right, because when they first made Ritz crackers, it had to be simple, right? It just had to be the flour and the salt and whatever.
Well, let me tell you one thing right now.
Okay.
I had the best dinner. I haven't had pork chops in a long time. My pork chop dinner last night consisted of a butterfly pork chop, which was amazing because I
Okay.
know where it came from. We're lucky around here that the grocery store that I go to pulls meat from like within 50 miles of here, right?
Oh, so it's like legit fresh.
Yeah.
Right on.
So that pig's not that old, right?
Nice.
Beautiful butterfly pork chop. The only thing
Yeah.
I did is salt, pepper it, and I
Yeah.
put some barbecue sauce on it, and I was like, man, this is amazing.
That's it. No sides.
Broccoli and baked potato.
Okay. See, yeah, good job. And see, a whole food I learned on this show. I never really knew what a whole
Nate
food
told me
was.
that a potato is okay because it's just a potato.
Right, because I never really understood what a whole food was, as stupid as that sounds. So when Nate and Peter were on that day, I totally like, what?
I
It's a
learned so
potato's a whole
much from
food.
both of those guys, man.
Yeah, Yeah, really. So it's fun. That's the fun thing about this.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have not listened to Nate Palmer or Peter Ho, go back and listen to those episodes because they were
Yep.
just full of information. I went back and listened to each one of them a couple times a piece, just pulling different things out, right?
Yeah, because it's that's the cool thing about shorts. If you don't have time to engage in one of our full length shows, which some people don't, right? Because sometimes they're an hour, sometimes they're two. Lemoyne Alexander show is about 2 hours.
Could have talked to him for 6 more for sure.
Easily. And the reason we had Nate and Peter back on is because we could have talked to Nate and Peter forever and ever.
And we will again for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Our only real time constraints when we have you on, just so you know, listeners and viewers, Thursday or Tuesdays we have about 60 to 90 minutes. Fridays it's fair game. It's whatever we decide. We've had boxers on. We've had Grammy nominated artists. We've had I don't know how
Mrs.
to.
Arizona, USA.
Yeah, Mrs. Arizona USA going from
That
Mrs.
was
Mrs.
cool.
USA. We've had, I don't know how to frame it, but we had someone who Jeremy Cross. I don't know how to frame him.
One of my favorite shows for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And if you didn't listen to our Jeremy Cross episode, you should go back and listen to it, especially if you or someone you know is struggling with addiction.
So Jeremy messaged us back, and he's heard the same thing multiple times, that we were a great platform for him.
Oh, nice.
Those people listen to all his podcasts that he's
Right.
on.
Yeah.
He gave us a really nice compliment in that he's heard this was the best show, as far as the interaction. And so thank you very much for the people
Yes.
who listen to that. That's awesome.
Yes, and thank you, Jeremy, for the compliment.
Absolutely.
So Jeremy's show has got a lot of buzz. So go listen to that. Then you'll find out about his book. You'll find out about his story. It's a very interesting story from somebody who had a legit, normal, happy, everyday life, and then just tragically went down into the gutter, like literally.
As far as you can go.
Yeah. There.
I thought I went far. I learned I was wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. But then he climbed back out of it,
And he's
now
an
he's
amazing human being.
Yes, he's a shining example of how recovery works. If once you get to the point in your life and you need that, the recovery kind of, I don't know, chimes in, or the bell rings or whatever. I don't know what the fuck I'm trying to say, but kind of like Mike.
That all makes sense.
Yeah, kind of like Mike LaRose, right? I mean, how many people smoked pot when they were 6 and still live to tell the
He
tale?
beat me there too. Yeah.
Right. So, and then we had Cheyenne on, who was kidnapped 3 different times. We've had Kelly Myers of a show coming up that you're going to hear once before this one airs. It's a musician who's ahead of his time, kind of like how Lars was as far as Napster, ahead of his time from the coaching facet.
By about 25 years.
Yeah. So we don't just have, Bob from next door coming on the show. We love Bob. Bob can come on the show all he wants, right?
Yeah.
We had an Iraqi war veteran who
That show did really well too.
yeah, his
Kicking ass.
whole gig was finding IEDs in Iraq, and then his story is really, really cool as far as how he was able to stop drinking and the path he took to do that. And Mike and him had a great conversation about magic mushrooms, as they like to call it.
I like Don. He's my people.
Yeah, Don's a good guy, man. So if you want to be on the show, just drop us a message. We'll get you on, and then there you go. You can have a conversation with us. And we share all your shorts that we come up with, so you have them. You can use them on your own. You can put them on all your social media channels. We're continuously growing this thing organically. We're getting close to 100,000 views since March, where we were like 50 in March.
We were at right around 38 at the end
38.
of February.
Okay, so there you go. So yeah, so
So
just
we
a
went
short.
from 38,000 to 90,000 in about 3 months.
Yeah, it's all Mike, man. It's because he carries the show. I'm just here for window fodder. I'm window dressing.
I'm still the behind the scenes guy. That's cool.
I'm the Robin Quivers to his Howard Stern. That's just how it rolls. So
I think it's funny, man. There's days where I notice that one of us is off and the other's not. So it balances out for sure.
it does, and that's the dynamic of having 2 people on a show. Because again, when you just do it by yourself, you don't have that exchange. You don't have the organic conversations. And like the Real Estate Guy podcast, Moment with the Real Estate Guy.
Those are great too, by the way.
Oh, thank you. But they're quick. They're like,
Yeah.
2 minutes or so, but it's insightful information in a short amount of time to help you understand the home buying or home selling process, depending on what I'm talking about. So those drop every Tuesday afternoon on my channel, which, if you want to find that, just go to YouTube and at Chris Dunham. Simple.
Check it out. Subscribe.
Check it out.
Be informed. There's
else you wanna-
legitimately only one guy that I will listen to, and that's Bill Burr, that does it by himself.
Oh, agreed. Because he
That
can.
man is amazing.
Yeah.
He
But
can
he's got-
argue
yeah.
with himself, dude.
Right.
I think you have that potential. You
Yeah.
probably, even
could
if you
argue
don't
with-
know
yeah,
it,
yeah.
you could have that kind of banner.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy, right?
I could argue with myself. It would be pretty engaging. I've done videos, marketing videos, where I'm talking to myself.
I believe it. Oh,
Like
yeah,
I
I've
have-
seen him.
Yeah, and the one with Santa Claus.
Yeah.
I'm Santa Claus in the video, just so you know.
This is an over 18 podcast.
Right,
They
right.
all know there's
You
no
never
Santa.
know, man. And then I had one where when I was in council, we wrote this song called Plastic Icon,
I remember that too.
right, which was all about the plasticity of the music industry, basically, and how
The fake pop people.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
the whole
The beautiful people.
Right. So what I would do on stage, they put on my Playboy, it was a Hugh Hefner costume for Halloween. So it was his red smoking jacket, my fake hair, and sunglasses, and I was the plastic icon. So that persona, I made a video one time, like if you'd send me a referral, I used to pop it up on your Facebook page where I'm talking to myself in the plastic icon identity, going back and forth with myself, which is funny because I've always, you remember the movie The Big Chill?
Oh, yeah. That's a great movie, man.
Right. One of my all-time favorites, right? I love the scene where William Hurt is sitting on the couch. He found the camcorder, right? So he's going around the house filming people. And if you've never seen The Big Chill, you need to see The Big Chill just for the soundtrack alone. That opened me up to so much music, just the soundtrack.
Oh, for
Right?
sure, man.
Just unbelievable. But he's sitting on the couch and he's got the camera on a tripod and he's filming himself, having a conversation with himself. It was a great scene, and he pulled it off, and it's a great movie. Nikki hates the movie. I love it. True story. The body, the corpse at the beginning,
Yeah.
Kevin Costner's first role. And he got cut out.
That was his first role.
He was the corpse. And they didn't pan up to his face. They stopped.
I did not know that.
You got to start somewhere. Did you hear that they're supposedly making Young Guns Dead or Alive? Young Guns 3 Dead or Alive?
No.
Yeah. Yep.
They
I've seen
better do
some-
it justice.
because it's Emilio Estevez, and because he is who he is. And if you never followed Emilio, because he hasn't been relevant for years, but brilliant young mind he had. He had so many movies in the 80s that just were very entertaining, and just I enjoyed them. One of my favorite movies he ever did was
I
that
loved
was
Young Guns and Young Guns too. I
Yeah,
thought they
oh,
were
yeah.
both great.
and that was in the 90s, but I'm talking like back in the 80s. That was then This Is Now, Repo Man,
Men at Work.
Men at Work. He wrote, and Charlie Sheen's is his actual biological brother. And for those of you who don't know, Estevez is their actual legal name, so it's Martin Estevez, not Martin Sheen. But Martin made his last name Sheen, so when Charlie got in the business, instead of Charlie Estevez, he's Charlie Sheen, and Emilio was the only one that actually kept his legitimate birth name, which I thought was interesting. So that's the Estevez family: Martin, Charlie, and Emilio. Speaking of Charlie, I saw something, I think 2 or 3 days ago. Somebody caught Charlie outside something. He was just fucking hammered. And he came into
Not
the car.
Charlie.
Yeah, came into the window of the car, was talking to the people, pounding fists and giving high fives. And, it's like his shirt's like half ripped. And the guy's like, "What's that?" "Oh, it's a tattoo, man." Like some weird, I don't know what it was, an elephant or something. But it was, it was kind of funny because, Charlie got destroyed with the whole Me Too thing, rightfully so, because, he didn't behave himself. But what are you going to do? He's also tied. Remember the Corey Feldman right? Yeah, Corey Feldman claims that Charlie Sheen raped Corey Haim on set in one of the movies they were doing.
I
think it
do
was-
remember that.
Yeah, and I still call bullshit on that because you would think that if Corey Haim was being raped, he'd be screaming, fighting and struggling. I mean, I don't know. I don't. Nothing surprises me anymore. What comes out of Hollywood and you know, especially with the Diddy stuff. What was his face? Suge Knight testified or something, and I didn't read the article, but apparently it was all tied to what Diddy did to Bieber, Justin Bieber, and how he just fucking absolutely, you know, destroyed him. You know, all the things he did to him, and Bieber's claiming, you know, parents could give a shit because they wanted the money, which is sad.
Yeah, that's a if people don't know that story, that is a sad story. It really is.
Yeah. And that's the problem, I think, with a lot of the young stars and whatnot, that it's the parents that want them to be famous. The kids don't have a say. They're just, you know, they're too impressionable and not old enough to make those decisions, and they're just kind of, okay, mom and dad, I want to be in a movie. Yay, you know. And then
Mama Kay's worried she's interrupting the podcast. That's what's going on here, ladies and gentlemen. She was going to bring me some food. So if I seem distracted, I'm not. I'm listening to Chris, but we'll give Mama Kay a shout out for making some amazing spaghetti. And I will be having that tomorrow. I had leftover pork chops for tonight. So
right, did you know spaghetti's not a whole food?
no, but it is delicious when Mama Kay makes it. So
Yeah. Is it the sauce?
as long as she's walking the planet, I'm going to
Yeah.
eat her spaghetti.
Well, that's fine. Is it the sauce? Or does
I
she make
don't
the
know
noodles
what-
from scratch? Does she make the noodles from scratch?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
We'll
then-
have to ask her. When
Then
we
it's
have
got to
her
be
on the
it's got to be
podcast.
this it's got to be the sauce. Then we got to have Mama Kay on. Just tell her to come over.
It's it's made with love. Oh, that'll take some coaxing. I think we
Yeah.
could get Steele on here.
Yeah, we
He'll
need to
come
get
talk,
Steele on.
We got to get him to tell his paranormal stories. He's got some great ones.
Cool. Well,
I
that's
was
another
gonna say-
thing.
I was going to say Bigfoot, but yeah, for sure. If there's paranormal people out there and you have stories,
Yeah.
we'll listen to them.
Yeah,
For sure.
Ghost stories, absolutely.
Yeah, he has multiple. He's had not a Bigfoot sighting, but a brush with.
Okay.
And definitely ghosts, UFO.
Hmm.
And this is a guy who has no reason. I mean, he's a common sense, no nonsense. You
Yeah.
know, he's not somebody that's looking for attention. He's the antithesis of looking for attention.
Yeah, and just so you know, Steele's Mike's dad. That's his nickname.
Yes. Yeah, self-imposed.
Yeah. Yeah.
He had to come up with an email address, and it got shortened to that. That's how that happened.
Really?
Yeah.
How
we
does it
won't
get
give out we won't give out his email address on
No.
the podcast, but I'll tell you later.
Well, his phone number is 8675309,
Yes.
and just use the 309 prefix. You know, so 309-867-5309. If you want to give Steele a call, tell him we said
Yes.
hi. You know,
He'll be happy to talk to you. I should give people his actual phone number because he would educate the world, and the world would be a better place.
well, you know. So that wasn't his real number I just gave?
Of course it was.
Damn it. So we were talking before the show. You had something. We were doing some enlightening with each other. Oh,
I'm glad
There's
you
something-
remembered.
there was something you wanted to tell me that
I told you I had
about
some-
Kellogg cereal.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yes. While you're looking at the Kellogg cereal thing, we learned
Yeah.
how to dehydrate strawberries. So because we kind of stopped all the sugaring things, right? Strawberries have natural sugar. So I sliced them all up, and I'm terrible at slicing. So we're gonna figure out a better way to slice them. And then Nikki put them in the air fryer because we have a dehydration setting, and we actually made legit strawberry fruit snacks that's just strawberry. That's it. Nothing else. And they're actually pretty damn tasty. Aside from my failure to cut properly, because, you know, I'm terrible at cutting. Like if I was on the worst cooks in America, they would have a whole episode on my cutting skills and how they suck.
So I'm glad that I looked it up.
Okay, good.
It says the claim that Kellogg cereal was invented to prevent masturbation is a common misconception.
Oh,
John Harvey Kellogg, the
Uh-huh.
inventor of cornflakes, was a Seventh-day Adventist minister
Oh.
who believed in a healthy lifestyle and included a vegetarian diet and abstinence from sexual activity. He advocated for a bland, unstimulating diet to reduce. Oh, okay, they're double talking now.
Double talk jive.
Let me
Double
read.
talk
Let me
jive.
read this again. So they're saying
Yeah.
that it's a common misconception. Now listen to what
Yes.
I'm going to say.
Okay.
John Harvey Kellogg, the inventor of cornflakes, was a Seventh-day Adventist minister who believed in a healthy lifestyle that included a vegetarian diet and abstinence from sexual activity.
While you're married or before you're married? Because while you're married, if you want abstinence, that's a shitty ass marriage, man.
No, so the Seventh-day Adventists would say that you can only have sex to procreate.
Get the hell out of here.
You got to remember, I study a lot of religions, my brother.
Why? That's insane.
That's their, yeah. Well, that's a hardcore version
So-
of Christianity.
So I think that's what Scott Stapp's family is, because when
I
his
think you're
dad,
right.
when one of his interviews with his dad had this massive crucifix on his hanging off his chest, and he was like just came across as a total control freaking asshole. I'm like, whoa, but I bet you that is.
So
Seventh-day
where I'm
Adventist.
saying that they're double talking is the last sentence is he advocated for a bland, unstimulating diet to reduce sexual desire, including masturbation. Those are his words.
Weird. So boys and girls are actually boys. If you have a problem with if you fail if you join the Seinfeld regime, if you understand where this is going, if you have a contest, and for being master of your domain, apparently just buy cornflakes from Kellogg's and you will win.
Yeah.
Wow. That's wow.
I think there's some double talk in there because he's the one that said he invented the cornflakes because they were bland, and he advocated for a bland diet
Right.
to ward off
The demons.
sexuality,
yeah.
including masturbation. That's what it says.
So there was a movie, in which, excuse me, I think Anthony Hopkins, Sir Anthony Hopkins, played Kellogg in the movie. I forget. I'm seeing it in my head because they're talking about cereal. Let's just Google machine. Anthony Hopkins. Whoops, spell it right.
The Google machine.
Hopkins. Kellogg. There it is, Kellogg movie. It came up right away. It plays Kellogg, yes. The Road to Wellville. There you go. The Road to Wellville. Never saw it. Okay. It's a good movie. The Road to Wellville. The Road to Wellville is a 1993 novel by American author T.C. Boyle, set in Battle Creek, Michigan, not far from your dispensary, during the early days of breakfast cereals. The story includes a historical fictionalization of John Harvey Kellogg, the inventor of cornflakes. Anthony Hopkins plays him, British known actor, in the 1994 film The Road to Wellville. It's a really good film. I watched it so much. I mean, obviously it left something because I just pulled that out of my arse that, oh, this is where Anthony Hopkins played the Kellogg guy. I don't completely remember what it's about, but it is kind of wrapped around him, the Kellogg dude, and that kind of jazz. So here's an unbelievable fact, okay? An unbelievable fact, just so you know, boys and girls. In November 2022, James Michael Grimes won a free drink in the air guitar competition. Now, I have posted before air guitar competition. That was a legit thing on the ESPN the Ocho, where these guys were actually, if you go down the path of my Instagram, you'll see a story where I actually, Nikki and I, where were we? We were on a cruise, and then the late night TV came on, and legit, it was air guitar competition. Kid you not. So
I think
November
you told me this, and I was in disbelief.
Right.
Yeah.
So in November of 2022, James Michael Grimes won a free drink in an air guitar competition, which became his last memory before waking up overboard in the Gulf of Mexico with no ship in sight. He then treaded water for 18 hours and was stung by 2 swarms of jellyfish over his arms and legs before eventually being rescued.
Isn't that crazy?
That is a crazy fact. Weird, wild facts.
I love that Facebook page, by the way. That's where I get a lot of this shit
What's that Facebook page? Share with the world.
Isn't it on the...
I don't know. I closed the window already. I was pretending like I just knew that from knowing it. I wasn't.
Yeah, we should give those people a shout out. That's
Right.
why I take screenshots of them.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I lost it now. There's thousands of these things.
It's okay.
1 in 10 Americans think the Earth is flat.
Okay, so funny story.
See,
I
there you
showed
go.
little man.
That's all I got to do.
I showed little man there's a picture, right, of the ice wall. There's this massive ice wall which would be the North Pole, Antarctica, right? But the way the picture came across was you saw this ice wall, and then all the ocean was dark black, and then you had the land on the other side of it. Little man legit said, "Oh, that's why the Earth is flat, Pop Pop." I'm like, "No, no." So then I Googled the Earth, and I reminded him it was round because he's into planets and stuff. But
The one I just sent you is for you only.
Okay.
Because there's too much shit on there. But the one I'm
Right.
sending you right now,
okay,
read that one. Because I thought that
okay,
was
so
very interesting.
here you go. So a study shows less age-related cognitive decline in cannabis users. So a newly published study,
From the Library
Library of Medicine.
It's not
Nee.
just a stoner talking.
Yeah, right. It's the National Center for Biotechnology Information. And a new study was published just found that men who used cannabis experienced less age-related cognitive decline than those who did not. 5,162 men were studied for an average of 24 years, and
Yes.
neither frequency of use nor age initiation were significantly associated with a greater decline.
So it does not burn your brain cells like they
Right.
tried to tell you on afternoon television.
And everywhere there's so much, and a lot of that I think is still pharmaceutical companies don't want marijuana to become something that people go to as a source of remedying their anxiety,
And
depression.
here's how I'll prove it to you. In your great
yes.
state of Arizona, they tried to make recreational marijuana the first time, if you'll remember right, in 2016.
Okay.
The same company that makes fentanyl
Yeah.
spent $500,000 on advertising against making.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just proving your point.
Oh yeah.
There's
I
facts
remember
all
them
over that prove
yeah.
that.
I remember Arizona trying to pass that, and it failed the first couple times it was on the ballot. Just
You know who else
kinda-
funds those?
no.
Big alcohol. So
Oh,
Budweiser, Coors.
Which doesn't make sense because I mean the for those of you that have smoked cigarettes and drink beer, there's a hand to hand thing. Like I can remember years and years ago when I was still drinking, and we'd go out and it was one of those things like you have a couple beers, you want a cigarette, and I wasn't a big smoker, but it's just one of those things. Hey, hey, get one of those, because it elevates it somehow, right? It's just
Yes.
it's kind of like the yin and yang of it,
Yeah, well, nicotine stimulates your brain for sure. That's also a
Sure.
scientific
Yeah.
fact. It's not
Yeah,
good for you
yeah.
in mass quantities, but in little short dose, like in your case, if you hit a cigarette before you went on stage, which you did a lot, it started your synapses firing like 10 times faster, 100 times faster,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that was more just to calm the. I mean, I wasn't nervous, and I wasn't. It was anxious energy, and that was one of those things. Just like,
Yeah, I used to describe it as an adrenaline dump. So, like, if anybody's ever been super scared, super quick,
yeah,
that's what
Yeah.
it feels like.
There you
Only
go.
it lasts a lot longer than that,
yeah.
Your
Yeah.
legs start shaking.
That's one thing we didn't ask Lemoyne about his experience with like when I talked to Michael Bruce on Good News Arizona, we touched on him playing live, and like he stood in front of when Michael Bruce, who don't for those of you who don't know, is one of the founding members of the Alice Cooper Group.
Great guitar player.
Great guitar and super nice human too.
I watched that episode. Yeah, that was
right
an
on.
excellent interview.
Yeah, thank you. And the amount of people that he played in front of was astonishing. And one, I forget the number, but it was an insane number.
Oh, probably over 100,000 for
Yeah,
sure.
I want to say like 230 some odd thousand. Like it was
Alice
a-
played some big
yeah,
festivals in Europe.
yeah. And so that was one thing I didn't think about till after the fact with Lemoyne. Like, I wonder what's his biggest thing as far as being in front of, but that may have been a moot point because most of his career has been behind
As a
the
producer and
yeah,
songwriter,
yeah.
beat maker, and
Still,
yeah.
yeah. So, and I would like to talk to him again and just kind of dive deeper into the connections that he's made. Like, especially we didn't really go down the path of working with Queen,
Right.
and the ins and outs of that, and how was meeting Brian May, and you know what I mean, because Brian May's got to be just an amazing human to talk to, right?
He's an astrophysicist.
I know, that's why he'd be amazing to talk to. It's like, dude, you went from this to that. Like, I mean,
I follow him on Instagram, and
Yeah.
he is so mellow, man. He's just
I
like,
can see that.
he's just like kind of you would imagine. He's very soft spoken and
Yeah.
very humble,
Yeah.
very thankful for his lot in life as far as what
Right.
he's got. Not a bragger at all. Just
No. Well, that was what cool was. That was you. That's what was cool about Lemoyne. He wasn't.
No, he was very humble as well.
Yeah, very very humble.
I told you the one thing, if you don't pick up on it when that episode drops, ladies and gentlemen, he was very honest about, if I wrote a song that ended up on Bohemian Rhapsody soundtrack, I'd just go ahead and make it act like it was in the movie,
Right, but he was clear to point out,
He said,
it
it
got
cut from the movie, but it's still
Yeah.
on the soundtrack, which got downloaded millions of times.
Uh-huh.
And his version of Killer Queen is very good. I checked that out too, because you can get that online as well if everybody
Right,
wants to
okay.
go listen to that.
Okay, so I found Brian May. Brian May Formal, is that what it is? Sir Brian May? Yeah, it's got to
Yeah.
be 3.9 million followers.
That's him.
Is that the legit one?
Yeah.
Yeah, right on.
He dropped some really cool stuff.
Yeah, no, that's good, man. I like that kind of stuff.
And if you can happen to book him on the podcast, that would
Yeah,
be great.
I'll try. Let me send him a message right now.
Reach out.
I am.
This
I
is
am.
Chris from the Chris
There you
and
go.
Mike Show.
There it is. Here we go. Good afternoon, Sir Brian. Because it says Sir Brian, so you got to use his professional name.
He's knighted.
Yes, that's what you got. I should I tell him I have a 1 square foot of land in Scotland?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Reaching out to you because we would love to have you on the guest on the Chris and Mike Show,
That's where Dave lives, on that 1 square foot.
a world-renowned podcast that is all about human interest stories.
Such as your own.
We would love to dive deep into your aeronautical physicist. Is that what he is?
He's an astrophysicist.
We'd love to dive deep into deep into your love of astrophysicism. Is that a word? Physicism?
I don't know.
Astrophysics. We'll just say astrophysics.
Sounded good.
And anything else you would like to discuss? Perhaps what you've done with your life since obtaining that degree.
We heard you play a little guitar.
Please reach out at your earliest convenience. We would love to establish a time to connect with you. From what our friend Lemoyne Alexander says, you are a super nice human, and we'd love to verify that. Talk soon.
I thought
Chris.
you were gonna drop my name.
I
That
did.
would've
Chris is in there. Mike's in there.
Oh. No, I just
Yeah,
meant
I
in
led with you.
Lemoyne's place,
Oh, I could do that
I was just being funny.
with you. Okay, from one of our friends, Lemoyne Alexander, says you are a super nice human. Here we go, right here. This is the power of editing. As does Mike Michaels,
I have been
a
following
founding
you for
member
quite a
of
while.
Nemesis.
That might
There you
be
go.
one of those messages that's just crazy enough to get answered.
That's how I got Kevin Guy on the Good News Arizona show, man. I kept poking at him. I kept dropping messages and shit. For those of you who don't know, Kevin Guy is the head coach and general manager of the Arizona Rattlers, Arizona's most successful sporting franchise with 7 world champions.
Yep.
And just
I
so you
was there for one of
understand,
them.
right? The Suns have 0. The Cardinals have 0 because Larry Fitzgerald failed to take a knee at the 3-yard line. The Mercury, which you can't really count, I think they have 4 or 5, but they're girls. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Don't light us up. But if you're a WNBA player and you'd like to defend your sport, reach out. We'll have you on.
Especially if you're Caitlin Clark.
Right.
She seems to be kind of popular.
She's very popular. Let's see.
I also
What a-
do not watch the WNBA, so
I
that's
don't
how
either.
popular
I've
she
heard,
is.
and I don't know if this is true or not. So viewers listening, watching, if you're a fan, a subscriber, a season ticket holder of the WNBA, I've heard that part of the enjoyment of watching the games is watching the athletes fall. Like they're not like men where they run back and forth nonstop and don't ever fall over just for the hell of it. I've heard that some of the the women, not college, the athletes in WNBA, they just will randomly fall. They'll just
Okay.
randomly fall when they're running. And apparently some people think that's the main draw of watching them play live is to see how many times the athletes will just stumble and fall.
Okay, one thing I will tell you, and I wish
Okay.
I could give this person credit because
Okay.
that just triggered a memory. Speaking of shorts,
Nice.
Chris said how powerful shorts are because
Yes.
we all have a busy schedule, right?
Mhm.
I watched a short on the Caitlin Clark effect, and it
Oh.
said, "You don't think that the WNBA sucked before Caitlin Clark? Let me show you." And it was 30 seconds or a minute of up and down the court, and nobody made a basket. It was brick, 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 brick. Caitlin
Okay.
Clark comes, and all of a sudden they're
Yeah.
playing more like the men. They're running
Really?
plays. Yes.
Huh.
It's
That's
a
interesting.
completely different game. It's an effect just like Michael Jordan was to the NBA, right?
So
it's
here's
that
a-
next level of female athleticism, right?
Okay, so here's a question: would the WNBA then be more entertaining now than the NBA? Because we all know the NBA is about not driving to the lane anymore.
If you get
and flopping.
if you get about 10 more players like her in that league,
Yeah.
100%,
Really?
maybe even 5.
Okay.
Just enough to make the other people around them become that much better, right?
Yeah.
Just like I always fascinate people when I say I like to be the weakest link in the band, right? How am I
yeah.
going to get better if I'm the best person in my own band, right?
Right. Right.
I need people that are like, hey man, why don't you try this here or that there, I'm looking for forward thinkers, not people who are looking for me to direct them, right? That's the effect
Right.
she's had on women's basketball is you guys got to, or you ladies have to step up your game.
That's interesting.
Same thing Ronda Rousey did for the mixed martial arts, right? In the UFC.
Yeah. Yeah, because really, I mean, I don't remember anybody female-wise before her that put females on the map for that in that sport.
There was Cyborg, but she was so steroided out at that time that she looked like a dude and nobody paid attention to her. She probably could have kicked a lot of men's asses.
Right. But
think
that's what I'm saying. I don't even recognize that name. Like
Yeah,
Ronda
nobody remembers
Rousey.
anybody before. They might remember Gina Carano. I think she was before
okay.
Ronda a little bit, but yeah, Ronda Rousey became the face of women's MMA, right? Caitlin
Yeah.
Clark became the face of the WNBA.
Okay.
Michael Jordan became the face of the NBA in my generation and your generation.
Right, and he's still still talked
Yeah,
about to this
that's
day, and he
never
forever
been
will be.
repeated. Yeah, he's
No,
the GOAT
yeah.
for sure.
That's the funny thing about the GOAT talk, right? And people,
Somebody who says, if I wanted to have better stats, I would have
Mm.
tried harder. I was trying to win championships, right?
yeah,
So we were trying
Jordan.
to play as a team, is what he's saying. Yeah.
right. And in playing as a team, he still put the numbers up that he did.
Just staggering.
I saw a thing the other day that LeBron was at the free throw line. He hits the ball, he hits the and that's it. He wins the game, and he missed. He just like Jordan. If you never, I mean, everybody's probably heard the story. I don't think it was a playoff game. I think it was just a regular season game. But he was, he looked at somebody that was on the line, the box and the free throw, and he's bouncing. He looks over the guys. He closes his eyes. Check it out.
You could probably argue 100 other people with, not you in particular,
No,
but
I
the
know.
people who are listening who are going to scream at me, but what about? I don't think I've ever witnessed somebody who wanted that pressure at the end of a game more than Michael Jordan, other
Agreed.
than maybe Tom Brady.
Agreed. Yeah. I think Eli, because Eli excelled in.
But he just didn't
high
have
pressure.
the longevity.
No, he
I'm
didn't.
talking about
Yeah.
people who did it,
Yeah.
6 times, 7
Sure.
times. I know there's not
Yeah.
a lot of them, but
Well,
let's
'cause
say,
that-
let's say more than 3 times.
Yeah. Okay.
Somebody that's that great. I can't think of anybody who
Hmm.
just soaked that, like, give me the ball right now. I know there's 1 second left. I'm going to be the one
Yeah.
to shoot it, right?
Yeah. From a baseball standpoint, you'd have pitchers that give me the ball.
Sure.
Randy Maddox and
Johnson.
Johnson and Schilling.
Yeah.
Roger Clemens before steroids.
That whole thing between Kurt Schilling and Randy Johnson when the Arizona Diamondbacks won the World Series
Yeah.
that year,
Yeah.
that determination to go out there on 2 days rest or
Yeah.
a day's rest, that was proving you were a man.
Well, and
Right.
see, back in the day,
I
right?
want to win.
Right. But back when baseball was baseball, right? You didn't have 7 days rest. You would pitch, you would throw 150 pitches and then pitch the next day.
Well, I mean, modern day is like 4 or 5, but you're right. It was
Yeah.
usually I think a 3-day rotation
Yeah,
or something.
something-
You pitched
something
and then-
small.
Yeah.
And you didn't have the Tommy John surgeries and all the bullshit you have now because it just, it's kind of like you overtrain. Now we're from a athletic standpoint. Is there such thing as too much training?
And that's
Because
something I'm hearing a lot about just recently on the fitness people that come on the different podcasts that I listen to is
Yeah.
re- they found out, as you just said, that recovery time is almost more important than the workout itself, right?
yes.
You found that out as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
like
can
Alicia.
get stronger by letting yourself rest.
Yeah, like our friend Alicia Shields. She did her first half marathon. I had
Congratulations.
asked, yeah, I asked her what her time was. She didn't have it yet. She was waiting for the official time. But then I gave her the rundown of this is because it's your first one. Go find a place that has you can compress your legs, and if you don't know what that is, you basically pull yourself up in what would, lack of a better term, overalls just for your legs, and they squeeze them, and it helps the blood flow, and it helps circulate the blood throughout your entire ankle to hip, which helps your legs recovery. And then you go into a cryo chamber and stand there for a minute, freeze your ass off, and then you go into a sauna for 20 minutes, and it's a whole cycle of recovery that works great.
So you do the cryo?
I have done it. I haven't done it in a while, but I have done it before. I've done it several times. It's pretty
Have you
legit.
ever done a float tank?
No, float tanks freak me out just because how you look at them. It's kind of like I'm claustrophobic.
I think I'm
Yeah.
positive I'm claustrophobic.
Yeah,
I don't
so
think
I-
I could do that.
No. I think the idea of it's cool because it's supposed to pull impurities out of your body and shit while you're floating. But the other caveat
Well,
with
the
that
big
is-
thing is it separates you from the earth. It's the
Right.
only time that you're weightless on earth.
Yeah.
Because you're laying in that 1,000 pounds of salt or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you're not submerged. You're kind of half
Right.
in and half out.
Yeah.
You're floating.
Right.
So you don't feel the weight of your body anymore, which allows your mind to expand, and
Right.
that's the way it was described to me hundreds of
Okay.
times on these different shows. I
Yeah.
don't think I could do it unless
don't-
it
yeah.
was like an open one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you're not closing it, like I
Yeah.
put some black goggles on or something.
Yeah, and I
know
don't-
I'm not closed in there.
Yeah, and my other thing with it too is do they change the salt every time?
In the ones that you go to, the salt kills there's no bacteria is going to live in that salt. That's
know,
why
but
they call it
still.
the Dead Sea, my friend.
Oh.
Nothing
Okay.
can live there. So
Yeah, but
all-
you're still laying on somebody else's salt.
they do have regulations. All those places that you would go to in a big city are regulated by the health department. So
Well,
if
yeah.
they
Well,
care about their business, you're not laying in anybody's filth.
Well, that's kind of like dirty dining, though, right? You don't get caught until they come inspect your restaurant. So you're for a week or two leading up to the inspection.
Yeah, but just like if we were shitty podcast hosts, how many more guests would we have if we didn't
This
have
is
a good
true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Reputation is everything.
Oh, yeah.
I agree
Oh, yeah.
with what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. You don't have to agree. You can be like, "Fuck off, Chris. That's wrong. That's
No.
wrong, man."
There is nobody that's more. I mean, I'm not like Howie Mandel, germ freak, but you know me. I like things clean and organized.
Oh, me too.
So
Yeah.
nothing can live in that salt, man.
Jake had,
It's
speaking of clean.
1,000 pounds of salt.
Yeah. Well, speaking of clean and organized, Jake sent us a picture the other day that I won't share because I don't know if I'm allowed to share it. But he's holding this grenade launcher. But what struck
Yeah,
me.
don't share that.
But what struck me, I told him that's a great Father's Day present. What struck me was the background. So in the background of it, it was shelving with, and kid you not, everything was perfectly lined up. Like you want to talk about like OCD, they're all exactly, it just lined up perfectly. And the tags
Appreciate
were,
that
were
like you can't even imagine.
the tags were perfectly dangling on each piece like it was supposed to be. It just and because what he does is he's in charge of recruits when they come into Pendleton. So I'm sure this is something where he's his little office and what he checks out and things like that. But it legit, dude. It was just like
I had somebody that
insanely
was
organized.
our age come in here one time and say, this is like sleeping with the enemy. You remember that movie where
Yes.
she opened up the cabinets and everything was facing? I said, isn't it easier when it looks that way? I'm not a psychopath. I just want to know what I'm looking at when I open my cupboard, right? Why would I turn
Yeah.
everything backwards? So yeah,
Yeah.
of course I face everything forward. Apparently
Yeah.
that's weird. I do the same thing in my refrigerator.
Really.
Yeah, my clothes in my closet are hung by the day I'm gonna wear. Yeah, some of this shit's a little weird.
Mine are hung by color. So I have color.
I do that on my good
Yeah.
clothes.
Yeah.
My work clothes are hung by the day I'm going to wear them in the order I'm going to wear them.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, mine are hung by color.
Only because we wear red on Wednesday, so I put that in spot number 3, so I don't have to think about what I'm doing at 4:45 in the morning.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things that Nikki tries to do, because that's her biggest struggle every day when she's teaching. It's like, what am I going to wear to work? So every now and then she'll plan out her outfits, and then that number
helps.
one takes the anxiety of choosing what I'm going to wear today off her plate, and then she has more time to play her whatever iPad game she plays on in the mornings, and you know.
But I do with my good clothes what you do as well. They're by collared shirts colored, they're by t-shirts colored, they're
Right.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think I own 2 collared short sleeve shirts, one of which she just bought me.
I actually have quite a few. I had to go to a couple weddings, and my mom bought me a couple. And
Yeah.
for a guy who never wears a collared shirt,
Yeah.
I actually probably have 7 of them now.
Right on. I have suits and stuff because, you know,
I do not own a suit or a tie, and if I never have to wear one again, I will die a happy man.
right on. I had one custom made years ago that actually on the inside of it, which I didn't realize at the time, there's little tiny scorpions. Jake calls it the scorpion suit. 3-piece suit, vest, everything, custom tailored, Italian shoes. Look pretty fly for a white guy in it.
You
know?
look good dressed up. That's not my
yeah.
thing, man.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, now Mama Kay's screaming at the podcast. You look great when you're dressed up.
All parents got to say that, man.
I just feel so do you feel comfortable that way?
It depends on the scenario. So yes, if I'm
I do not ever.
Yeah, like if I'm like back in the day when $1 million houses were not a dime a dozen in the valley. You know, when the average sales price was 324,000, and I'd have randomly somebody looking to we'll look at $1 million homes, which there's probably 10.
Right.
Then yeah, I would be comfortable in the suit because I was putting my best foot forward because I knew this person was spending the amount of money they were spending. So the confidence you have depends on why you're doing it, right? So if I'm going to a wedding, yeah, it's cool. I won't wear the custom one. It's just a casual one, right? Because you just got to blend in and be comfortable. I don't like the restriction that the jackets have on you.
Maybe
I don't know. That's not comfortable. But it depends on the situation. If I have to wear a suit for something because they require a suit, then no. I'm like, yeah, this fucking sucks. But if I'm wearing it because I want to, look like James Bond and Nikki's dressing up, to look like her sexy ass, then yeah, I'll bust out a suit. I wore a suit for Skylar's wedding.
Well, of course, it's your daughter. I mean,
but it was in our backyard, man. I could have worn jeans and boots.
Yeah, well, that's not your style. And that's what I'm saying. That's where you and I are different. You would expect, I don't know. You know me better than everybody else does, and that's just not me, right?
No,
I mean,
yeah.
I always tell people Hugh Hefner had the world figured out, right? He was surrounded by beautiful women in his pajamas.
Yeah.
With all the money in the world.
Yeah. Something about that. Somebody whoever bought that, they apparently renovated the whole thing. I don't know if that's true or not, but one of the things I saw on the internet, which, who knows.
It's probably true because I'm pretty sure it was up for sale the last season of $1 Million Listing Los Angeles. It hadn't moved yet, but if you've seen something recently, I'm sure that's true.
Yeah, it's just a random thing. I saw something too about Michael Jackson's Neverland. That was bought and completely revamped. All that kind of jazz.
Put up McMansions.
Yeah.
That's what they called them back in the day.
So I think it was you that sent me the thing. There's more dispensaries in the country now than there is McDonald's.
Ladies and gentlemen, public service announcement. There are currently more pot dispensaries in the United States than there are McDonald's. We now resume our regularly scheduled program.
And the funny thing about that is McDonald's is so bad for you. So bad for you.
And marijuana's never killed anyone. McDonald's has killed a lot of people in their day.
Yeah.
Because there's people that have lived strictly on McDonald's and died.
Yes.
Because there's no nutritional value.
No, and then that one guy, there was that
Tastes
I forget his name, but he was a documentarian that he did a movie called Super Size Me. What a revealing!
I remember that.
What a revealing movie that was, because if you've never seen it,
is that early 2000s maybe?
Some had to be, but he started with his baseline of all his health, right? Like here's the stuff, here's his blood pressure, here's his heart rate, here's all his blood levels. Like, so he had legitimately, this is his starting point. And then he went through the entire thing of eating McDonald's for X amount of time. And that was it. Like nothing else, just McDonald's every single day. I want to say for 6 months or something. And the dude put on weight. His health went just down the drain. His blood work went just wacky. Just mind boggling what he was able to show the world by just having a McDonald's only diet. And it kind of similar to what Jared did, the pedophile asshole from Subway, right?
Right.
Where he just ate subs every day, but he was also walking and whatnot too. So he wasn't just eating subs to lose the weight. He was doing some physical activity.
Sure.
I don't think the dude on Super Size Me, I'm gonna forget his name, but I don't think he exercised at all. I think it was just, this is what America's doing. Let's see who he was. Super Size Me.
Yeah, if I remember right, he was just a straight McDonald's
Yeah,
diet.
2004.
See, early 2000. I remember this movie.
Morgan Spurlock. That's right, Morgan Spurlock. Okay,
Because it changed my opinion of McDonald's instantly.
Right. So, and he died. Holy shit.
That's what changed my opinion.
Spurlock died Thursday in New York from complications of cancer, according to a statement issued Friday by his family. It's a sad day. I said goodbye to our brother Morgan. Craig, who worked with him on several projects, said in the statement, Morgan gave so much through art, ideas, and generosity. And he died May 23rd, 2024. So just over a year ago.
How old was he, does it say?
I'm going to find out.
Now I'm curious.
Well, come on, Morgan. Oh, that's because I just did his movie. That's why it's doing that. Okay, let me click on his face now. Okay. November 7th. Wow, he was our age. He was born in 70.
Wow.
So he's 54. Okay, so the Super Size Me, why was it controversial? It explored the fast food industry's corporate influence, including how it encourages poor nutrition and its own profit and gain. The film prompted widespread debate about public eating habits and has since come under scrutiny for the accuracy of its science and truthfulness of Spurlock's on-camera claims. And I don't get that, because he did in the movie, he legit, he doctors care. Like, he started out, these are my levels of everything. And then as it progressed and as he gained all the weight and shit, it was bad, He believed his body, this is a quote from him, he believed his body never fully recovered, though he lost the weight thanks to a special diet concocted by his then girlfriend, the vegan chef Alex Jamieson. The pair married and had a son, Laken, in 2006 before divorcing in 2011. So he did lose the weight, but he says that he never actually got over it. And in March of 2004, 6 weeks after the debut of Super Size Me, McDonald's announced a plan to phase out the Super Size Me option, citing it needs to simplify the menu and to offer healthier food choices, which I don't think they ever did.
They did not, but they did do away with the Super Size Me.
Right, but did they really though? Because I saw something, and I've been meaning to try this. So I saw a reel somebody did at Starbucks. Right, you have 3 levels of Starbucks. I don't know what they are, but it's Grande, Venti, or there's 3 cups. Okay?
Yeah, you just mentioned 2 of them. I don't know what the third one is.
Right, so there's 3 cups. So somebody bought all 3 of those, right, and dumped the coffee out of 2 of them, and then had the coffee in 1 cup and poured it in the second cup, and then poured it in the third cup. So you saw the different levels of coffee. It was the same amount of coffee.
They did that with McDonald's French fries too.
Oh yeah, it's the
They
same.
put the small and the medium, and
Right.
the medium, but I call bullshit. I've had a small fry and I've had a large fry, and I've not had enough small fries, and I've had too many large fries. So fuck them motherfuckers. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
No, but I think
that was horrible.
it's different with liquid though, and I want to try it. I just don't want to waste the money, but it would be
Do you see
interesting.
what I'm saying though?
I do.
I know you eat a healthy lifestyle, but you and
Yeah.
I have both eaten our fair share of McDonald's, especially back in the band days when
Yep.
we were poor and couldn't afford anything else, right?
Yep.
Taco Bell and fucking McDonald's.
Yep.
Filiberto's.
Yeah, well, see,
Shout
just
out
last
to Filiberto's.
see, so it's funny you should say that because Nikki and I, the last 2 Tuesdays, because we were doing dance lessons to learn different type of country dancing, and it's done. It's 8:30 at night, which is weird. 8:30 to 9:30.
Not a time you want to start making dinner.
No, so both nights we were done like fuck. We're hungry, so we, nothing's open except fast food. So we succumbed to the Filiberto's options last Tuesday and last night, and I gotta say. That happened for Belchers for a long fucking time.
That's so good.
It's one of those things like we didn't.
I
we
can
spent-
taste it, and I'm 2,000
right.
miles away.
Right? We went like forever because I didn't do dairy forever. So then all of a sudden, like, okay, I can do pizza again. So we had pizza probably 3 or 4 times. Then we decided to do this whole let's get off the bad stuff. Let's get off the starches and the breads and shit, right? And so I kind of made a comment one night. I was like, it's kind of ironic, right? I'm finally agreeing to eat dairy, which includes pizza, right? And then I stopped because we're doing this no bad starch thing. So we ended up getting Barrow's Pizza one night, and dude, not having pizza for as long as it was the fucking greatest pizza we had.
So I have one. I
long time.
got another question, but that leads to:
Okay.
does that not prove that everything in moderation is probably fine?
Yes.
Right? Because you got away from it.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what I hear, like people that go through what you're going through as far as what works for my diet.
Yeah.
One thing that I hear over and over again is if I reintroduce it into my diet and it causes me grief, I kick
Yeah.
it right back out of my diet, right? So if
Yep.
you had that pizza and you had an adverse reaction, you wouldn't eat pizza anymore. I know you.
Agreed.
But you enjoyed it. So enjoy it once a month or once every
Yes.
2 months or, you know.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you
that-
know
yeah.
you're going to get that reward, and then we're not going to have it for a while, and you're not going to miss
Yeah.
it because you don't want it all the time.
Right. But that was the problem. That was the problem having Filiberto's because then it's just because
But I'm glad you said that. So
Yeah, yeah.
when you and I were in the band, and that was the only thing we could afford, you
Yep.
got the biggest burrito it was like the size of your head for $2. How much are they now?
I don't know because I my staple at Filiberto's has always been 2 shredded beef tacos with sour cream. I didn't do sour cream anymore, but 2 shredded beef tacos with
So
sour
how much
cream
was your
and a large quesadilla. Well, what we did last night was
I'm just curious how many.
I know
how much things have gone up.
it was $28 for 3 shredded beef tacos, a cheese quesadilla, and then just a flour tortilla for Nikki. So she had 1 taco and a flour tortilla.
They
It was
haven't raised the
$28.
prices that much
$28.
in comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to get a burrito the size of your head for $2.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was amazing.
So, but and it's the nice thing about that is because normally when we would do something like we've been doing, right, then you'd come home, we would have bread, we would have sandwich meat, processed sandwich meat, right?
Sure.
So we would just make a sandwich. We would just, do whatever. Hello. I got to get new headphones.
Oh, you can't hear me again, ladies and gentlemen.
I can hear you. I can hear. I moved it.
All right.
And I'm not moving, which is weird. Like, why does it do that, man? Just stay still.
Just order a pair of these. They'll be there in
I
like
am.
2 hours because you live
am.
10 minutes from the Amazon warehouse, apparently.
Dude, there's like 5 warehouses near me now as we drive around because they're popping up everywhere.
I told you that was the craziest thing I had ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
I've been an Amazon Prime customer for going on 3 years now,
Yeah.
and that was the first time it ever asked me, "What time would you like it delivered, sir?"
Yeah.
It's like, "What time?" Usually they're like, "It'll be 2 days or less,"
I wonder if they'll do the drone thing where you like somebody posted yesterday on Facebook. They had somebody I know, so I know it wasn't bullshit. They Grubhubbed, and it was this red robot that actually brought the food to their door.
So I just read a thing that they are also on the bandwagon of the humanoid robot delivery. So I told you about the assembly line in South Carolina. Amazon is supposed to have the first test humanoid droid delivery people, I don't know, within the next 3 to 5 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It might have been sooner than that. I want to say it said 2026, but don't quote me on that. I don't think I saved that one.
That's interesting, though.
So not to say that they're not going to keep using the drones, but I think that's the direction they're going to go in, is just not pay anyone to do it, just have robots do it.
Wow. That's a little insane.
Oh, here's one that I think you would enjoy
Okay.
for sure. because this blew me away. This is 1 can of Coke.
1 can of Coke. Okay, cocaine
You're
or
gonna
Coca-Cola.
no 1 can of cocaine would be a lot of cocaine, bro.
Okay.
That would kill anyone. We both quit talking at the same
I know,
time.
because I was waiting for you to say something, and then one of my clients, oh, check your email. So I was checking my email, and I had to ask him a question. So I had to go get salt today for the water softener, you know. And they're 40-pound bags, and I still have that issue with the middle of my back, the between my. It feels like something's growing. Nikki says nothing's growing there. I keep having her check. So what happens 1 hour after drinking a can of Coca-Cola? Now, boys and girls, mind you, when they first came up with Coca-Cola, they called it Coke-a-Cola because there was actually cocaine in it.
That's a true story.
Which is why your grandmother could clean the house so lightning fast back in the 1950s. In the first 10 minutes of
And
drinking,
have dinner ready and have time to have fun with Grandpa later.
Exactly. First 10 minutes, 10 teaspoons of sugar hit your system. 100% of your recommended daily intake, by the way. You don't immediately vomit from overwhelming sweetness because phosphoric acid cuts the flavor, allowing you to keep it down. Now, understand, you've probably all seen the stuff online where you can take Coca-Cola poured on rust and it disseminates the rust.
Or clean your car battery.
Mm-hmm. Number 2 thing that happens, your blood sugar spikes, causing an insulin burst. Your liver responds to this by turning any sugar it can to get its hands on it into fat. There's plenty of that at this particular moment.
Because you have 10 teaspoons of sugar in your system.
And it makes the medicine go down. Number 3, caffeine absorption is complete. Your pupils now dilate. Your blood pressure rises. As a response, your liver then ups more sugar into your bloodstream. The adenosine receptors in your brain, whatever that is, are
Endocrine.
are now blocked, preventing drowsiness. So basically, imagine having cocaine mixed in that.
Your endocrine system is basically what's keeping you awake and alert while you are awake during the waking hours.
Gotcha. You know, and Coca-Cola, it's cold, it's sweet, it's everywhere.
It's delicious, but for those of you who are sucking down 6 cans a day like I used to, that really was an eye-opener.
Well, and the other thing too, like
I was
we
getting
talked about before,
600% of my daily allowance of sugar every day just in those 6 cans of Coke.
And you struggle to put on weight, but most people, if they're drinking, 10, 15, I know people that,
Oh, yeah.
that they drink soda like it's water. Like,
They turn into 280, 320
right.
pound
and,
people.
And then,
yeah.
and then you stop drinking soda, all of a sudden you lost like 40 pounds in 2.5 months because you stopped drinking soda. So then, and then to take the next level, stop drinking beer, same thing.
Yep.
So everything in moderation is like, if you want to have a Coke, and then realize, do it like 10 o'clock in the morning, because then when you crash at 2, you can take a nap.
Yeah, so to give people a perspective of how, like, I'm not the healthiest person in the world. You see me vape all the time. That's the next thing I'm giving up. But
Right.
I am not overweight by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
The one thing that I do, because I had trouble sleeping for a long time, is first thing I did is cut out Coke, right? So now if I order a meal, unless I'm out, on the weekend or whatever, I always get Sprite and a small one. The other thing during the week, obviously, I drink coffee.
Right.
But the last caffeine that I ever have is at my 9 o'clock break. That's it. I have 3
Okay.
cups of coffee, whatever fits in like a travel thermos. I make
Okay.
4 cups of coffee every day,
Okay.
like in the pot, right?
Oh, okay.
Up to the number 4. That's it. So after 9 o'clock, no more caffeine for the rest of the day. That definitely helped with my sleeping habits and not waking up all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I drink 1 cup of coffee. I use honey and soy milk.
Yeah, I use honey.
And it's probably, it's a tumbler. It's not like coffee cup. It's a tumbler. So it's
Yeah,
probably
that's what mine is.
Yeah, it's probably like 16 ounces. But that's it. And then I don't really
That's
do
all I
caffeine.
have, too.
I drink tea, during the day.
Which
and
has a
water.
little bit of caffeine, but not
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
coffee.
Yeah. And I drink Folgers because it's the best part of waking up,
I
aside
drink
from next to
Don
Mickey's.
Francisco's butterscotch toffee, my brother.
Really?
Yes.
Does it actually taste like butterscotch coffee?
It will change your life. I have never been able to drink. I mean, I do. Like Sunday, my dad drinks Folgers as well. I like Folgers. There's nothing wrong
Yeah.
with it. He'll tell you. I sit down and drink a pot and a half with him. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. It's the best part of waking up with
But-
Folgers in your cup.
For me, being owner, proprietor here at my own little Ponderosa, I like the Don Francisco's butterscotch toffee because coffee is amazing. This will change your life.
Now, how did you discover Don Francisco's butterscotch toffee coffee?
I will tell you a story.
That's why I asked.
So, it was like the second time that I went to visit Carrie in Michigan. I think I talked to you on the phone that time.
Okay.
I woke up one morning and she always had my coffee ready.
Yeah.
And I would go in. She worked from home, so I'd go into her office and sit down and talk to her. And I'm sitting there drinking the coffee, and she was super quiet.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is the best cup of coffee I've ever had in my life. And all of a sudden she started talking to me. She's like, oh my God, phew. She said, I didn't have any regular coffee left, and I just put it in your pod. She had one of those Keurig things.
yeah.
And she said, I was just going to see how you liked it. If you said it sucked, I guess you were going to have to go to the store and get some coffee. But I'm glad you like it.
Okay.
I've
So
been
is it-
drinking
is
the
it-
same thing ever since, man.
So is it in a Keurig or do you actually brew it now?
No, I buy it in a can, and the coffee is flavored. It's not
Okay.
a creamer
Yeah, yeah.
bullshit. It's
Okay.
actually that flavored coffee. It's amazing.
Okay. I'm gonna have to try that, man. Because I don't. When we stopped the whole sugar thing, I stopped buying the because I would have flavor. I'd put soy milk and then I'd add a splash or two of whatever flavor.
See, and I
creamer
can't put
had.
milk in there, so
Right. Well, I
this-
use soy milk. Yeah.
this helps. And I'm not. I don't know.
No, that's good.
I wasn't
Not-
a
it's-
huge fan of soy milk.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tried it in my cereal, and it probably saved me because I probably would eat cereal if I like soy milk. You know.
Well, there's all. Have you tried the almond milk and
Yeah, and it was all right too. It just.
yeah.
I guess I've lived with cereal, without cereal,
Yeah.
so much of my life. I used to
Yeah.
eat it with a thing called Coffee Rich, which
Okay.
I do put a little bit of that in my coffee.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll put like, I don't know, less than a quarter of a cup in that whole tumbler.
Oh wow. Okay.
If you want to sit down and eat a bowl of cereal, this stuff's full of sugar, man.
Ah. Okay.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
The other creamer I've used is Planet Oat, which is pretty good.
okay, I might try that. I do like oats.
Yeah. Yeah. And they have different varieties of it, like regular, and then they have vanilla. Then they'll have super velvet. It's like a creamy. It makes it a little more creamy, like a barista style.
Now, I will tell you, almond
yeah.
milk ice cream
Yeah. Oh yeah.
from Ben & Jerry's is the bomb.
Yeah. I've had that.
It's so
Oh,
good.
I didn't realize Ben and Jerry's had it.
It's so good, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
In the grocery store aisle, in the freezer
Yep.
section.
They were
Okay.
the first. They were the first to make non-dairy that I saw.
Yeah.
Now,
that's
now
true.
there's two companies out of Canada. I would like to give a shout out to Jeremy Cross's Canada for sending down some non-dairy stuff so I can
Right on.
enjoy like a pizza. Mm-hmm. There's a company called Daiya, D-A-I-Y-A.
YA. Yep.
Their
Diet
stuff
cheese,
is
yep.
amazing.
Uh-huh.
And the
Went
other
through
one
all
is
that.
So Delicious. So
Yep.
S-O-dash
Yep.
Delicious.
And those, yep. Both
Their
those.
stuff
I've had
is
both those.
amazing as well.
Uh-huh.
Love
Yep,
it.
I've had both those. I've
So
had both
shout
those,
out to
for
both
sure.
those companies if you
I
want
didn't know
to
they were
be
Canadian, eh?
sponsor on the Chris and Mike show. We'll
Yeah,
gladly.
We'll just sit here and eat
Take
it
your
while we're
money and
talking,
talk about
you
it.
know. We'll talk about it. We'll eat it. We'll eat it, and we flavor test everything. Bring it on.
Don't leave out the first part. We'll take your money and then we'll talk about you.
Right. Exactly. Because that's what makes the world go round.
That's the last free plug for my free
Last free
ice
plug.
cream.
Not then again. Not then again. Never. 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 Never.
Yeah, so
Right.
put your Don Francisco's in the
Don
cart
Francisco.
in your Amazon, and they will send you 3 little cans, like the
Okay.
the little cans.
Uh-huh.
And if you don't like it, you can send me the other 2. But I'm certain it's going to change your life.
Right on. I will too. I would give it a shot. Something I got an Amazon package. I don't know what I ordered, but it's pretty big.
And here's the great thing. I'll tell you one last quick story. I probably shouldn't out this on the podcast. It might ruin it for me. I don't think Amazon's listening to the Chris and Mike show.
Yeah,
But since
maybe.
January, I've ordered 2 sets of 3 cans, And both times they sent me the wrong ones because Don Francisco's makes many kinds of coffee. So
Gotcha.
they sent me Colombian Supreme. Colombian.
Colombian Supreme. He's a political refugee from Cuba. Cuba.
So I was all pissed off, and I go to work, and a good friend of mine said,
Oh.
go up to your account and go all the way to the right-hand side to customer service and tell them they sent you the wrong shit, and they'll tell you to keep it because it's considered a food item, and they will send you the new one. So I have been drinking coffee for free since January on Amazon, so thank you for picking the wrong one off the shelf, you stupid computer.
Right. It's funny how that works, but that's the kind of the cool thing with Amazon. You can return anything.
Yeah, they went. I don't know if you were familiar with Amazon before. That was that way. They used to have horrible. You had to call somebody and tell them you wanted to return. They tried that route for a while.
Oh, gotcha.
They actually had customer service people. Then they said, "Fuck it, we'll just send you whatever you want. Just keep it."
Yeah, because then the returns end up going on those pallets you can buy for $35, and you don't know what you're going to get. You know, the Amazon pallets. That's a big thing in Arizona, anyway.
Oh, it is. Yeah, I guess when you get up around Chicago or a bigger town, it is here too.
Yeah, like Nikki at one point in time, she'd sign up for an Amazon thing. You know, you don't know what you're going to get type thing, and what came in was like AirPods, like a couple nice little Apple. Right. I'm like, that was like, what, $20? She's like, yeah. I'm like, holy shit. And Skylar before, like, hey, Amazon carts, crates, pallets. Like, yeah, I'm not buying an Amazon pallet. I don't know what the hell's in it.
Yeah, well, it just sounded like a scam, right?
Yeah, it totally sounded like a scam, but it's legit.
It was.
It's 100% legit, I think that's what happens when the Amazon trucks back up to each other and you see them in random sparse, neighborhoods. Just doors are like, whew.
Now, you and I have talked recently about, starting something from nothing.
Yes.
And building it to what it is right now. Imagine being Jeff Bezos. From that famous picture of him sitting in his office behind the IKEA desk with the dot matrix Amazon.com sign behind him.
Yeah.
To holy shit, he rules the world.
Right.
Because that's a lot of people forget that's a worldwide company, man.
It is.
They ship all over.
Which makes it even more comical that he tried to stage a flight into space and allowed the participants to open the door incorrectly, then stop and say, wait, it got to go out. And then a video leaked of him picking up the trash around his spacecraft before it actually was supposed to air.
Some people are what I like to call, Mr. Chris Dunham, idea men.
Yes.
They're not good at the practice of.
No.
A lot of people don't know this, and this might be one of those Mike talking out his ass, but I'm almost positive Leo Fender did not know how to play guitar.
I've heard that before.
So
I've heard that before.
He made arguably one of the two most famous guitars in the entire world, and he was the first to do it, right? Gibson
the other
came
one being
along
Les
later.
Paul, right?
Yeah.
Other ones being
just Gibson in general.
Right.
But
what made Gibson famous was the Starburst, right? That's the holy grail
the
of Gibson.
Sunburst, yeah.
Yeah. I said Starburst. I'm sorry, I said Starburst. Les Paul, right? Yeah.
So
Which is
when
a
people
Gibson,
think of guitars, they think of the Fender Stratocaster, which Leo Fender made first,
100%.
probably in the late 40s, if I remember right.
Okay.
And then Gibson came along, a few years later, and Les Paul helped him design the famous, if everybody knows Slash, that's the guitar he plays all the time. So
there you go.
yeah, one of the most famous guitar makers in the world did not know how to play the instrument. I found that fascinating.
That's crazy. Weird, wild stuff. So that's it. This is us. This is the Chris and Mike show.
He's pulling the plug.
I'm pulling the plug.
He
man.
knows I'm hungry.
Go find us on Instagram. Follow us. Find us on Facebook. Chris and Mike show. Follow us. Subscribe. Drop a review. If you listen to the show, watch the show on YouTube, just drop a review because it helps us organically grow, which is what we're trying to do. We don't pump money in this.
And it does work,
some
ladies
people
and gentlemen.
do. It does.
So I'm right there with him. Please drop a review, drop a comment, just tell everybody how much you like it because it puts us out there in front of people who we would have not had the chance to be in front of otherwise. Lemoyne being one of them, his agent contacted us. So you guys put us in a position where somebody that was high up enough, Grammy nominated producer, sold millions of records in the rap world. The guy was legit. And thanks again to both of you for, her name was Laura.
Laura,
Laura
and
Lemoyne.
I think.
Thanks again.
Yeah, and Laura's email was
Outstanding.
one of the best emails we've gotten for the show because it showed us that she actually took an interest in our show because
put the time
referenced,
in.
yeah, because she referenced an episode in which we were talking music
in the middle of the show.
right, and it wasn't something you could just fast forward to because you don't see what we're talking about.
Right.
I mean, it's in the description, it's in the show's description. You know, the hashtags and keywords may make that relevant.
Sometimes
but
those are accurate. Sometimes they're
right.
vague.
Right, but legit for somebody to dive into our show and
I was
and
impressed.
And what strikes me about that is how many episodes did she actually listen to until she got to something that was relevant
Yeah, we don't know.
to her world.
Sure.
And I kind of, originally when you sent me the email, I was like, well, this is just bullshit. There's no way, but then she responded and here we are, so yeah, if you want to be on the show,
thank
like
you, Laura.
if you want to be on the show, like we said earlier, just be a human breathing, living. It'd be cool to have a zombie on if that's possible. I don't know how we'd communicate with a zombie.
I don't think a zombie would be a very good podcast other than the fact that we could say we had a zombie. I don't think
Yeah.
we're going to get a lot of interaction.
Yeah. I don't know either.
Well, we could do a short with a zombie.
We could do a short with a zombie. Absolutely.
Does Dave from Ireland know any zombies?
I don't know. Maybe vampires. If you're a vampire or a werewolf, that would be cool. Come on.
Sweet.
Yeah, just everybody wants to come on the show, just let us know. We'll talk to you and, we'll have
It's not
some
hard
fun.
to figure out why we were in a band together. We're into the same shit. Zombies,
are.
werewolves, serial killers,
Yeah, all the things that make you warm and fuzzy at night.
country line dancing.
Exactly.
Just to prove we're enigmas.
Exactly. YouTube channel too. Don't forget to subscribe, especially those watching, because you'll get all the alerts when we drop things. So, boys and girls, until next time, if you're having a bad day, don't not let the bad day win. Somebody loves you. Somebody will miss you. Don't leave that hole in somebody's heart and soul. Reach out, talk to somebody, seek some help. And tomorrow is always a better day.
Amen, brother.
Amen, brother. Nothing but love, my friend. You have a wonderful rest of your evening, and go have some leftover pork chop and applesauce.
I'm looking forward to it. Love you, my friend.
But no applesauce. Love you too, brother.
Peace.
Peace.